Welcome back, everyone, to the episode recaps for episode 5 and episode 6 of Survivor Game Show Network's Exile Island. I am your host for this, Alex Trias, and I'm back again with my co-hosts, McKenna Feeney and Jeremy Urban. What did you guys think of these two episodes?
I thought they were really kind of jam-packed. I mean, the boots might have been a little predictable because they were kind of all like saying the same thing, but we had a little bit of mystery with episode 6, which is nice. But I thought like the dynamics of swaps and the aftermath of rocks and was really cool.
Yeah, I definitely think that both episodes had a lot of twists and turns in them, with the second swap going on. And then we see at the end of episode 6 that they are now finally merged, which was a nice little twist by the hosts, Ian and Morgan, thinking that they were going to go into a challenge. But we'll get to that later.
Yeah. Spoiler alert to people who haven't watched the episode. If you haven't, go watch the episodes, then come back here and you can listen to about how at the very end of episode 6, we are merged. At the end of the episode. So we ended pre-merge. We're starting on episode 7, headstrong, straight into a merge episode, which should be all types of exciting. If you know if they're showing it before the episode, you know a lot of content's coming.
Yes. As the editor, yes, I needed that clip, even though it's like 5 minutes, but it's like 5 minutes that I could use to show other content. And believe me, we're in for something coming this merge. But let's get into episode 5.
Yes, so we started episode 5. A rarity with our stuff, we get a cold open. We get a cold open and step aside the Sugar Shack because we are now at the Lauren Lounge. And yes, Jeremy, tell me about the Lauren Lounge.
Well, she is pretty much the sole resident, pretty much the almost the entirety of this pre-merge portion of the game. And, you know, she's kind of just living it up there. She has a few advantages. She's kind of just chilling. But she knows that she has a lot of game left to play. So she's getting ready for that battle.
For sure. Little, like, I guess, editing inside is because they didn't go the full time from challenge to challenge, because we had an extra day off. I couldn't just show that clip of Lauren back at camp with Mackenzie, Greg, and Austin after her being at the Lauren Lounge. So I had to throw the cold open, then the intro, so it's like some time kind of has passed, and then into the Phil tribe dynamics.
No, I thought it was funny. It was what it was. Like, is there anything of real information there? No, but it was just comedy. You have her there just like pretending to sunbathe indoors with shades on because she doesn't want to burn up like Cochran. So she's already comparing herself to a winner. Ooh. So she has very high aspects of herself, according to that clip. But okay, we get through the credits. It's the aftermath of the Bill rock out. And obviously Victoria's like, this definitely hurt my game. Even though we weren't on the same side of the vote in the first episode, she sort of like was able to turn it back around. She knew Bill was someone that she could trust implicitly, and now that person's gone and she's left with only Lauren and Greg from original Phil. So not the best outlook for her, especially when you see on another call a combination of Greg, Lauren, Austin, and Mackenzie, who are calling themselves the Fantastic Four. I believe there's a trademark for that, but you know, this is YouTube.
Yeah, they're gonna flag us everywhere. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Victoria because the OG Alexas have that power where Jim may not be in the Fantastic Four, but because the Alexa tribe is kind of in power, Victoria is the one on the outside. and we eventually see her, feel the outside.
Yeah, it definitely sucked because I feel like we were really starting to see kind of like her gameplay, like really starting to go into motion. And then she just needed that wheel to be a different outcome on the rock draw. I think if it was a different outcome, then, she could have been sitting in a completely different position on the tribe. But yet, this is Survivor.
Right.
So sometimes it's all luck based. And so unfortunately, luck was not on her side in that last vote.
Yeah, and for those who are just so overwhelmed by the rock vote that you didn't see like sort of what happened in the aftermath of Bill being rocked out, don't worry, because Lauren egged on the people that were there to reenact what happened. So you sort of have Mackenzie sort of like gleefully going, "Oh yeah, I'm back," saying, "Oh, mother effer, like go F yourself, goodbye, peace out." But she says like that was their relationship. We do sort of hear that similarly in Bill's exit last week. That was sort of that type of they knew what it was between both of them, so it was sort of like, but I could understand optics of like from a Victoria side being like,
this was my best, like her best friend in the game, and then I feel like that also jumps to later on where Mackenzie and Lauren are trying to do a girls thing with Victoria, but Victoria's like, Mackenzie, like, why would I why would I ever want to work with Mackenzie if she said this about my best friend in the game? So
it's definitely like the one, like so far from what we've seen in the episodes, it's sort of like the one glaring negative for Mackenzie's game, because as we go more forward into this, there's a lot of positives, especially from this episode for Mackenzie and what she does in this game. But we'll get to that because the main object now is the Lauren confessional, where big point of emphasis for these two episodes is she's looking at the short-term game. She knows she has to look at the long-term game, but she's focusing so much on the short-term game that I almost think it's to her detriment, because she's talking about long game things, but also trying to turn it all into a vote to vote, where you have her talking about how, I was on Exile with Mike Simmons, and I told him that, yes, me and Greg want to come back to you, Lilly and Alex. If we can all get back to merge, we'll be 5 strong. We're going to do that. That's long-term planning for a short-term game. She then has, while having that group, goes, here's the thing, Mackenzie's my best friend, so I want her to come a long way. But Greg's my ride or die, and I want him to go as far as he can until I have to come. So, like, I have a question for you guys. For those who have played this game or played other orgs, what's the difference between a best friend and a ride or die?
I'd say I had that in my first game where, like, John, who's playing this game, was probably like my best friend in the game, but I had a different person as my ride or die, and I wound up cutting John because I had that promise to someone already. Yep. So I would probably wind up cutting my best friend in the game and hoping to repair that afterwards, because I had already made that promise of the future with someone else, like promise game-wise future with someone else.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like, you have like your best friend in the game where you can have like a really good relationship. You talk about a bunch of different things, but then you have that one person that you ride or die where you can just constantly talk strategy with and kind of go through scenario after scenario. And so I think that is kind of the main difference, where you have your friends in the game, which you can kind of just be like buddy with, but then you have that one person where it's like, oh, I can talk to you pretty much about anything outside of the game and in the game, and we can continue forward together.
Yeah. The weird thing though with this is, like, we were talking about this as if the best friend is the one who's going to take the brunt before the ride or die. The way that she talks in this confessional, it's inverse.
Yeah.
She's definitely saying, Mackenzie's my best friend. I'm reading in between lines going, I want Mackenzie to go as far as I can with me. But she doesn't say for Mackenzie what she says about Greg, where she's like, I'm going to have to cut Greg at some point.
Yep. Which I feel like Lauren's been kind of a very chaotic player this season, I would say. So I feel like she definitely has to be focusing on that short-term game of vote to vote and just to how she can get to the how she can get to the merge, which we see that she does. But I think no matter who she's with, she's always going to still be looked at as this target. So I think it doesn't matter who she winds up with. She still has to focus on how can I squeak by a vote? How can I squeak by a vote?
Right. So it might get a little harder for her to squeak by a vote after a vote because one of her tight people, she just talked with them on Exile. Mike Simmons apparently dishes to John that Lauren was throwing your name out, man. She said you're a big threat. You're someone who needs to be taken out ASAP. And I'm trying to think between you two. I'll start with McKenna. McKenna.
Yes.
Can John be a spiteful person?
Seeing as, I was one who voted him out, and then days up to the draft for this season, he kept sending me his shocked face of him being voted out when I voted him out, being like, you better pick me. Yes. John, if you betray John, he will make it his sole mission to get you out, even if it destroys his game. He'll be like, no, this is what I'm doing. It's my sole mission.
Yeah, it's like you both. And here's the thing: we're all friends with Lauren outside this game. We're all friends with John outside the game. They know each other. They knew each other going into this game, not just from playing or hosting John in a game, but they are friends outside this game. I feel understanding Lauren wants to play the game, and she was saying beforehand that it didn't matter if you're a friend or not. Like, I will try to cut you before you can cut me. Way too early to start going, hey, Mike, I know we've met for like 5 days so far of this game, but like, I trust you so much. I'm going to say, vote out the only person that I truly know in this game. He's the biggest threat there is on this island, and not think it's going to go right back to the biggest threat on this island.
Yeah, because I mean, what does Mike have to lose by saying?
Mike already had bad feelings about Lauren after she sort of was like a main catalyst for them losing their early challenge, and also for blurting stuff out. Like, all of them are like, yeah, like, we're putting you at arm's length right here. You're still here, but we're putting you over there for now. Like, sit down, think about what you've done, but at the same time, I'm going to try to plan your demise. Like, Mike hasn't let that go. I'm going to tell you that right now. He has not let that go. So anything he can use to try to make Lauren's game tougher for her, he's going to take it.
Yeah.
I definitely think, going back to what McKenna was saying, like, Lauren's pretty sporadic in this season. And so I'm not entirely sure what she was thinking whenever she was having this conversation about throwing John's name out there. But, like, it definitely seems like she's trying to rally her troops a little bit too early for this John vote. And then now that makes John on the other tribe like, okay, well, now I have to rally my troops come another swap, come merge, and then have to go into it sooner than they thought. So who knows?
You don't give a player like John the ability to pre-plan a attack.
Yes.
Because like, one of his better strengths, despite what people think, is his social game and creating the connections of like and loyalty with him and just among a group. We'll get to that point because obviously we haven't had that confrontation yet. We're gonna have a couple inconsequential at the moment discussions. We get some confessionals from Andrew, Alex, and Lilly. Andrew says he's made a final 2 with Lilly. But he also has John, which is sort of funny because in the next episode he's against John.
Well, he also says like, John's my best friend in the game, or like, I like John the most here in this game, but also like
it's a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
Yeah. then Alex is here just like reconfirming that him, Lilly, and Mike Simmons are the tight three. And he's just saying, like, in the event that we lose, we just need to make sure all three of us don't go to Exile, because our 3 is stronger than that Alexa 4, and there are cracks in that Alexa 4. And they were thinking we could go big game hunting right here. We could potentially pull someone in and get John out. They're debating whether or not they would get bring Michael Zucker in or vote him out as well to get rid of 2 of what they perceive as bigger threats, or just get rid of a Connor and whatnot. So you do see planning from their aspect, which is good. You should always be planning for the event that if you lose.
Right, exactly. But planning within your alliance, not planning with like other people, like, oh, what if we lose? So I like that they stuck to just the 3 of them, like, all right, what are we going to do? So we have a plan in place and we're not scrambling if an event comes, which does not, but.
Yeah. So we get to the challenge. They see that Bill was eliminated, not voted out. Ian made it clear, eliminated. And the only person I see who perks up from that is John, who like you very clearly hear him just, excuse me?
Mm-hmm.
So they're all like, and you see it after the challenge, all the election drivers like, did they go to Rocks? Did they just want us to think that they went to Rocks? Like, what's going on? No, they couldn't have done Rocks this early. Like that, it does give them some things to think about, but at the end of the day, they sort of throw it away. It's like, oh, they're doing something here, but it's not real.
Which that kind of surprised me by John because of how he reacted whenever Ian said eliminated, to when they have that conversation where John says, I think Ian just said that to throw us off, which I thought that was kind of odd because John is usually one to think things through like pretty particularly. And so I would have thought that like he would have stuck to that, like, oh, Ian didn't say vote, so they should have gone to Rocks.
Like, so, Ian does pick his language very carefully with the things that that he wants to say. So if he says like something about eliminated, then they were just that. They were eliminated.
Yeah. So gets us to our challenge. Everyone will stand with their eyes closed and hands on their heads. Have to keep them on your head the entire time. Keep your eyes closed the entire time. Some people are bad with directions. Not going to name names, Connor. But the objective was to be the one person to sit down closest to 10 minutes without going over. There will be distractions during this, but that one person will both win immunity for their tribe and also gain a reward, or really a decision that they will have to make regarding their own tribe. We'll get there once we get to the end of this challenge. But overall, John sits out. Do you think it was a good decision by John to sit out?
I mean, this challenge is kind of just random. So I feel like it's okay for John to sit out here. There's no like big reason where like if John sat out of the caller challenge, like that would have been weird. Why is John sitting out of that challenge? Here there's just like I can sit out. Like there's no, I don't think you have any prowess for standing.
So if you were Jeremy, if you were competing in this challenge, how focused do you think you would still be able to be as Ian is reading a story called We Don't Eat Our Classmates?
I think I would be able to be pretty focused, using from my knowledge from like the music world, being in marching band where you have to perform in like 1,000 people stadium with all that noise distraction going on. You're able to focus in and just do what you have to do. However, though, that story though that Ian was telling was really hilarious. So I don't really know how focused I'd be able to be with that type of story.
Yeah. I'd like to think that I could keep time and focus on it, but I don't know. It might be rough. Like I have an idea of how I would do, but who knows really without putting it to the test.
Yeah, like I have ideas of what I would do for that challenge, but it's easier said than done. You see it by how some of these people perform because a lot of them did have ideas. You don't really see all of them like physically, except for one. That's really the main point of this is we see Lauren's trying to keep time
Standing crunches
by
just all right
doing vertical crunches.
Yes.
Which, you know, good on her. Like she got a lot of crunches in because she went over 12 minutes. So
yeah, well, because I was helping to film this challenge, and in our production chat we were just like, crunches, like what? I mean, if doing them a little bit faster, it could have been a good like way to keep time. But
absolutely,
she was just going way too slow for her crunches. She was taking like 3 seconds for every crunch.
Exactly. That was like the main thing I was like, she was going so slow, going back on. Like if you just keep going, you know, like just keep you have to it's all about rhythm, folks. Like you have to keep a constant pace. Like when I count and I have to like, have my hands behind my back, I just always keep moving my fingers in a constant motion to keep the time. So, you know, it's like to each their own. Like you figure it out. Like Jim was very close to winning. All he was doing was sifting from side to side and using that as his measuring stick, and he got like 9 minutes 42 seconds. So he was very close. But at the end of the day, our winner, surprising to himself, was Andrew, who has no grasp on time.
Well, he had some grasp on time, so he got the win. And for Alexa,
Andrew wins. Alexa tribe wins immunity yet again. The Phil tribe is cursed. But so they have to like make a decision on who to send, and they decide to send Greg when I feel the right decision would have been to send Victoria.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well whenever I was watching through the episode. But then you kind of have to think about like all the different types of conversations that are held before the challenge and in a few previous episodes where a lot of people want to work with Greg. And so they kind of want to save him. I definitely see where you're coming from, Alex. Like they should have saved Victoria because they probably knew she was in trouble next. But I think so many people want to work with Greg that they want to keep him safe. So that's where I kind of thought it was coming from.
Either that, or if they did save Victoria and they wanted to keep OG Alexa numbers, they might be thinking that Mackenzie and Lauren went to Exile together. Everybody loves Greg. This leaves, and we know Mackenzie and Austin are tight, or at least like John, Zucker know that Mackenzie and Austin are tight. That leaves Jim and OG Alexa maybe out of the loop, and who would maybe get the votes.
Right. Yeah. So at the end of the day, they do choose Greg in like if you go based off just numbers, turns out good for them, and another original Phil goes home. Greg takes Alex to Exile with him. Really, it's inconsequential. We don't really see much of them on Exile. It's just both of them like, and Alex is more like, I'm just concerned about being here for 2 days and not be able to continue plans or relationship building with the other people. But Greg's just like, yeah, thanks. Like, I was going to be safe most likely, but thanks. I don't know why you guys chose to do this outside my original alliance, but good job.
Yeah, and then we see like Mackenzie kind of, Victoria is gonna be good for Greg's game, but he's not here. F Greg.
So that's the point I wanted to bring up next. And this is like, I think you see it a couple times here. And Mackenzie's very aware of who is whose number. Like I feel like for the most part, she had at least based off these episodes, she had a good pulse on who are the players, and then who are the people that are helping prop up those players, or could potentially. Like she then talks about how Jim is a number for someone like a Connor, which I thought we haven't really seen that relationship, but sure, I would assume that's correct. But like it's so she's very adamant on, I know the people that I want to work with, but in order for them to be forced to work with me, I must get rid of any type of pawns out there that could potentially prop them up.
And unfortunately, Victoria, so sad. I wanted to see her keep playing because she had all these like amazing reads on things where she was like, she knew what was up. She was like, hey, is this idol clue weird? Like, should I look at this? Or like this chat from Morgan? And then the whole, Will has the idol for sure. I know I'm at the bottom, but I'm just trying to pull something out to try and stay. So she's very perceptive about the game and where she stands. And I was like, I want to see her make this merge so she can like just tell us how it is. Like these people are on the top, these people are on the bottom. Here's the swings.
Right. Like that's a downside of the Victoria game. She knows what's going on, but doesn't have the power to really make something different happen to help change things up, which was a shame because I love to see Victoria in this. But before we get to her ultimate dismissal from the game, we do have like a little fun comment of there's one line from Jim going, I never got a chance to talk to Lauren. That's going to come up with Tribal, but I thought it was funny putting that in there. And then we have Lauren here talking about how she has a huge target because she has 2 advantages. However, it's a guessing game because people don't know that I have them. And I'm here as a viewer going, I feel like at least half the cast knows exactly what you have because you used half the cast to get these.
Yeah, she's definitely used a lot of people to find those advantages. So
she has Mackenzie and Greg, but then Lilly goes to Exile the next time and gets the clue and is like, nothing's here.
Yeah, and Andrew makes the assumption.
Only one of 2 people now.
Yeah, and Andrew comes to the same conclusion. Mike Simmons comes to the same conclusion, which makes John go to the same conclusion. Like basically, everyone knows she at least has some sort of advantage. Most likely, at least something is an idol. So, I don't know. It's just her trying to just give a confessional, but like it wasn't a guessing game. But I think it just really goes into her because she's playing a chaotic game. It creates even more paranoia for the person who's playing the chaotic game. So when you're playing a chaotic game and then everyone knows exactly all the stuff that you have, you're sort of forced to play the stuff, even though you know you don't have to, because you incept into your mind that, oh, I could actually be the target right now.
Or just pull a Tony and just say, I have a bag of tricks. I'm not telling you what it is, but I have a bag of tricks.
Yeah,
I think it's too early to compare her to Tony. But before we go into Tribal, cut back about 10 minutes into that episode. We do find out what Andrew's reward is, and he gets to pick someone from his tribe. It could be himself or anyone on the tribe to go into Tribal Council hidden, but they get to sit in. They don't get to see the vote, but they get to see all of that Tribal Council. And so we then cut to Connor, who says, oh, everyone wants to go there, not so much for game, but for entertainment. And I get picked by a wheel.
Yep. Yeah, they went by wheel because how do you decide that? I mean, it's just kind of a...
Well, I feel like they lucked out with who got picked on the wheel because of all the people I feel like Connor's the most willing to provide any type of information.
Yeah, he'd just spill everything. So if it was a John that went, then John might have kept some things and held some things back, where Connor is just like, yeah, everything happened right here.
Yeah.
Right.
It really did go to rocks. Crazy.
Yeah, so we already talked about the fake girls alliance. So we're going into this tribal council. The main thing really that comes from this is, for me, 2 points. One, Mackenzie played her spot well in this. She really gives a nothing burger of an answer, but is like really just trying to say like, oh, it's forging relationships. It's like, I don't really want to see someone go, but it's the game. But I'm so happy to be with the tribe that I'm with right now, because these are the people that I connected with the most, just from the vibes I was feeling. Like, so I feel like she was saying all the right things. Whether or not people believed her is a different thing, but I feel like she was saying the right things.
She's glad she doesn't have the dude bros.
All the dude bros are
Mike,
on the
Simmons,
other side.
John, and
Alex. The other thing of note from this tribal is really, why did you leave me on red, Jim?
What does that mean, Lauren?
Okay, let me explain to you, dad who doesn't use Facebook that much. Being put on red means you read my message at some point and then you didn't respond to me. Like, what the hell, man? Like, if we're playing a game, it goes both ways. You have to talk to me.
Yeah, and then and just think life happens sometimes. We're not all in the game, where it's just like he said I was like, I might have been working and accidentally read it. My bad.
Yeah, definitely these orgs, they play a whole different kind of scenario than Real Survivor, where Real Survivor, you're on the beach 24/7. But like in these online scenarios, we still have to go to work or go to school and do our own lives while trying to play this game. So I know that happened with me a few times when I was playing my first game. I left people on Reddit. So it happens.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm pretty sure Jim has the type of job where he can't just like set his phone on a desk and then just like see a message, type back kind of deal. Where Lauren, I know, has a job where she's able to look at her phone more often than Jim.
Right. And it's also just like a younger generation thing. We're on our phones more often than like parents, or our like parents' ages today. They're not on it as often. But it's like, I just feel Lauren came in wanting
tribal council.
I know Lauren wanted to come in and just be this person that stirs up stuff, and I just feel like, entertainment wise, good job passing flying colors. But if you want to win the game, it's like you can still do that type of stuff, but you have to like bring it down a couple notches. There's a way to deliver it without then like completely turning a player off, because that's like, you think Jim's on the outs, like, okay, like you're feeling good, you're feeling confident and comfortable with who you're with, like, cool, and you think Jim's on the outs. Like, if something happens and he, like, you guys merge with Jim and Jim's on the jury, he's gonna remember stuff like that and maybe not want to vote for you.
Well, I also feel like you have to pick your moments and pick your people. Like, Jim is not a person to like go after, because he's not gonna like stir anything up back to make himself look bad.
Right. Say it in confessional, or like do a one-on-one with him. When you publicly embarrass someone, that does no one any favors.
Yeah. You hear Morgan like right after they kind of have that discussion where she just says, and Lauren's only 30 seconds into her first tribal and she's already stirring stuff up.
Yep.
So
yeah, it's it brings some more insight into what happens in the next episode and what the decisions Lauren makes. But Lauren survives this one. She doesn't get any votes. The vote ends up being 4 votes for Victoria, 1 vote for Jim. Victoria is our 4th boot. Can we get final words on Victoria and her journey before we move on to episode 6?
I think she was gone too soon. I think like we were really just like kind of like what I was saying earlier, like we were really starting to see her gameplay and the wheels start to turn and she was starting to see her path at least towards merge. And then it's just a few wrong things happened and it was the demise of her game, which sucks.
Yeah, and then I think if you guys haven't watched her exit interview, please go watch her exit interview. But she learned that she needs to beef up that social game. And I think if she just beefs up her social game, I think she could be a really strong contender in any org or in any other, game that she decides to play, because she does have that strategic mind. And she was no slouch in challenges. She slipped up in that first one with the word puzzle, but I think it was just because she was overthinking rather than like not knowing like what to do or floundering in the challenge. So I think definitely beef up that social game, and then like she's one to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. So Victoria, again, thank you for playing. You are a sweet person and a fun person to watch in this game. But with that, we're moving on to the next episode. It is episode 6.
Swap, baby!
It's second swap, baby. But we start with Andrew talking about, well, Connor comes back. He gives us information. Apparently, Bill did go out by Rock. So, that's something. So makes me think OG Phil tribe is screwed. But, even though I said in episode 1 and episode 2 that I'm Navidi strong, and that's my strategy, as I've been saying, I'm not Navidi strong. Yeah. And I don't want this new Alexa strong thing to be a thing that's being led by John. That's a no from me, dog.
Quote, that's a no from me, dog.
Yeah, Randy Jackson's looking for some money here.
Again, with these Fantastic Four and no from me, dog. Like, we don't have the money to support. But yeah, he's just itching to stir the pot. And I'm like, how, like, something's gonna happen. And we see his pot stir happen after this vote.
Yeah.
Right. Go ahead, Jared.
So I just had a quick question for, I think, McKenna, since you were probably at that last tribal. Did anyone question about like what that extra square was, or were they even able to see Connor's square at all?
Yeah. So they kind of were just like, okay, like maybe they thought it was like production or whatever. So what we had Connor do, because we wanted to be able to see that someone was there in on the screen, because with hide non-video participants, if he turned his camera off, the recording wouldn't even be able to see that there was a square. So we had him cover the camera with a post-it. His name was question marks. And then he actually texted, I think, Ian or Morgan or both of them or whatever, and be like, hey, can I record my reactions? And so I just like layered that over it. So they saw that whatever color is square, that entire tribal council.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
So they knew someone, whatever was there, if they thought it was like production or something, or a clue, or I don't know.
Yeah. So I feel like with Andrew, it's because he plays so many of these games, like he's itching to play. And where you don't go to tribal, all that is just getting more pent up. You're getting like, you can't sit still in your seat. You're that kid with the like ADHD. Like I can't stay confined. I need to do something. And maybe he's like also thinking like, I've been saying so long. Yeah, I am definitely on the bottom of this. I need to shake something up. I need an opportunity, and he's gonna get one. But he also says like a couple other notes. Another note was that Connor was saying he thinks Lauren is the next one out, and I think this is more just Connor projecting on himself, going like, "Oh, I want Lauren to be out," more so than by what I was seeing, everyone's looking at Lauren as that's the next person to go.
Yeah, which like I find a little bit funny that Connor is very big on like get Lauren out, because another SGSN plug, they were on an All-Stars trivia tribe together and like sitting in a breakout room talking or whatever. And they had some time to chat. It was way before the game even happened. Ian and Morgan didn't know anything for like tribe breakdown, so like and like I'm surprised Connor didn't want to maybe like further anything with that, and he's like, yeah.
Well, he says originally he wanted to be on her tribe to work with her, but maybe even just seeing her blow up on Jim maybe like turned it around on him. He's like,
on
no,
Gaby.
Jim's one of my people.
He wasn't there for Jim. Connor wasn't on the tribe for Jim.
Yes, he was in tribal.
Oh, he was in tribal. Right.
So he got to see that and also see the Gaby thing. So maybe that sort of turned him off from the idea of working with Lauren, and that's why he wanted to go after her. Which is funny because they're both chaotic players in this game. So chaos loves chaos, but I guess there can only be one. Right. Chaos is a ladder. Only one person can go up a ladder at a time. So next thing, which I made a big star on this because I think this is the first time we get like a real big confessional from Mike Simmons. And this is what I wrote down. Mike Simmons has his main alliance with him, Lilly, Alex, and Greg. He then gets a call from Andrew, who wants to make a final three with him and Lilly. He then gets a call from John and Mike Zucker, who want a final three with him. And then he gets a call from Connor, who wants one with him, Lilly, and Michael Zucker. So he has like at least 3 to 4 person alliances. He has the alliance that's the 4 with Lauren to make a 5. Like he is getting a lot of bases covered, which is showing he's doing something right where everyone wants to have him involved in some capacity.
And it's OG Alexa's also wanting to rope him into things as well. So he's definitely playing that social game where he's ingraining himself in with the Alexas because the Phils are down on new Alexa.
Yeah, and definitely kind of like what he mentions at the end of his confessional is he's not going to any of them. They are coming to him to create these alliances. And so it's just like, damn, dude, like you're definitely doing something right in this game. However, this could be a double-edged sword for him because everyone wants to work with him and he's saying yes to all these things. So at a point, he's going to have to break some trust with some people if he's going to go one way or the other. So that could bite him in the butt later on.
Well, at the end of the day, you had to figure out how realistic or how firm any of these alliance forms are. Like it could be, oh, this is a great idea, and then it just never happens. So then there's nothing wrong with that. Luckily for him, though, there's a lot of them where multiple people are within those other alliances too. So it's not just him. There's like it's him and Michael Zucker are in 2 different ones. Him and Lilly are in 3 of these. So it's like there's some mix up here. So good on Mike Simmons. Big thumbs up from me. If you're the one being talked to about being brought in, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So we get to the challenge. They see Victoria was voted off. Voted, not eliminated. So more hints, people. Bill was not voted out. Okay, so this challenge, before anything happens, drop your buffs. Congratulations. You have made it to the second swap to 3 tribes. Introducing the Blue Tribe, otherwise known as the Intern Tribe.
AKA Alex's tribe, because you headed that tribe in the challenge. But
he started off so well.
To break down those tribes, the new Phil tribe is Lauren, Connor, Michael Zucker, and Andrew. The new Alexa tribe, Mike Simmons, John, Mackenzie, Alex. The intern tribe, Jim, Greg, Lilly, and Austin.
And they are competing immediately without getting a chance to talk with each other in a 4-leg relay where the first person is doing the stack cups with the index cards, pulling the index cards out, doing that twice. Then immediately after that, the second person must flip 4 cards into a solo cup using a pencil. Third person then flips 2 solo cups that have 2 ping pong balls each in each cup and have to land both of them without the balls popping out. And then the last person does the survivor slide puzzle. So where do you guys see yourself placing on these? I personally know without a shadow of a doubt, put me on the puzzle.
100% the stack cups. I can get both of them one shot.
Well, if people have watched my first game, they know that I should probably not be on the puzzle because I was terrible at that. So I am probably either on the card flipping or the card stacks, the cup stacks.
Yeah. So I made the slide puzzle for this one. Very easy to make. But from making a bunch of slide puzzles for other games over the summer, I've gotten very familiar with what I need to do to get them in relatively quick fashion. I would have whooped everybody's ass in this competition today.
So I feel like I guess my second thing that I would want to do, which people were kind of shying away from, was the ping pong ball and the cup flip. I think that would be the second one, because the cards and like cutting through air and stuff like that, I feel like just we see with Michael Zucker, he got one of them on it feels like all luck, and I don't know exactly what the strategy is for it. I guess you would learn, but I feel like it's a less of a learning curve with the cup ping pong ball flip than it is with the card pencil.
Right. In reality, I feel like that one was the hardest one to do. So I would have been stepping so far away from that one. I know my strengths. My strengths would have been pretty much any of the other 3.
Yeah.
But put myself on the puzzle because, everyone's so scared of the puzzle. But if it's a slide puzzle like that, I'm like, give it to me. I'll finish it.
Yeah. I kind of think with the card flipping portion, you just have to find the right touch.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of variables with like the cards and like the direction that they move, but I kind of think it's just like flip cup, where you just have to find just the right touch for the card to just go into the cup. Kind of like how with flip cup, you just need the right touch for the cup to flip over gently onto the table.
And if you've watched season 1 mini Yasawa Islands, you know Jeremy plays a mean game of flip cup.
Yep,
So
this band nerd right here is band nerd.
Yep. So we're gonna yada yada through this. We see a lot of stuff happening. At the end of the day, John gets to the puzzle. He's not the first person there, but he is the first to finish. And the new Alexa tribe, once again, familiar territory, wins tribal
Alexa
immunity.
cannot lose. Alexa just cannot lose.
No, Alexa keeps winning. They always pull through. And shocker, Phil tribe goes to tribal with the intern tribe. It is a joint tribal council. But before that, we have to have a unspoken vote to decide who of the other remaining people would go to Exile Island. And as they're trying to decide who to vote for, Connor once again, very graciously, I volunteer. Pick me.
Yep.
And
Jim's like, yeah, of course I want to be safe too. Like, what the heck?
But when Jim does it, you can tell it's a joke. Connor's being dead serious. And if looks could kill, guys, Lauren was shooting daggers at Connor.
She got so mad to the fact that like Morgan was like, okay, discussion time is over. So she like used her teacher voice and was like, okay, kids, we're gonna sit with our hands in our lap.
But does it make you guys feel better that Connor he has no ulterior motives? He just doesn't want to be voted out of the game.
Yeah, and he kind of talked to us more about it at tribal, but he just wants to be safe, but yet he's doing it in such like a blunt manner that no one's gonna make him safe because he's just saying, I want to go, just put me in there. But when you say that, no one's gonna put you in there.
Well, I guess it worked. I don't know where all the votes went. We know that it was 2 votes of the 4 were for Lilly. So Lilly goes to Exile. She pulls Mackenzie.
Well, Ian has told me where the vote landed.
The only thing I recall is one of those votes was for Connor.
Yeah. Who do you think voted for Lilly?
Let's see. Of that Alexa tribe.
It was 2-1-1.
I feel Alex. It was either Alex and John or Alex and Mackenzie, because I know. I'm pretty sure it was Simmons who voted for Connor.
Yeah, Simmons votes for Connor. John and Mackenzie, I believe, vote for Lilly, and I can't remember who gets.
It's possible the other vote was maybe
vote.
for Jim, because they do make a point at the beginning of the episode talking about how the new Alexa tribe, not the new Alexa tribe, were talking about either sending Jim to Exile to protect him from, because they all know he's like an odd one out, so let's not let them vote him out, or send Mackenzie because she's already been there. So Mackenzie already has immunity, so it's possible one of them threw a vote on Jim because that's what they talked about originally.
Yep.
Okay, so
get the dude bros being safe.
Yeah, dude bros being safe. Lilly and Mackenzie are safe. We will not hear a word from them for the rest of this time. We don't know why. So we're gonna just cut through that. And some people are sort of freaking out, but mainly Connor is completely put off guard by the swapping it to a third tribe, having a joint tribe. Like, everything's just going. He's thinking so many things through so fast that his body and his mind just cannot physically.
I feel like his head's just gonna pop off.
But go ahead.
It definitely just it makes your brain just hurt, because going, not only switching tribes again, but going into 3 tribes and then going into a joint tribal with a bunch of people that you may not even really talk to all that much. Your mind just constantly goes through every type of scenario that could happen, could go wrong, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, Lilly has told me that she was very happy that she went to Exile in that episode, because she hadn't talked to like half the people that she would need to like work with or try and get votes from, or
right.
something. So like Jim, Austin, she hadn't talked to them at all.
I don't think she would have been a target per se, though, in this vote, because you would have had Greg and Lauren protecting her in this setting. So if they were both protecting her, then there was other people there that would have protected her. But I'm going to talk about 2 different stories here, because it's this part before the tribal council is pretty dominated by 2 people, and that's Michael Zucker and Andrew. So I'm going to start with Michael Zucker because it's a smaller plot, and it's more talking about who does Michael Zucker not trust. So as we know from his cast assessment, Michael Zucker hates people. So this part was probably easy for him to talk about the people he doesn't trust. So he doesn't trust Lauren is the first one. To go figure. He's just like, between the just random outbursts that she has, like she's too much of a wild card. I can't get a solid read on her because she's such a wild card. I'm sure she's great outside this game, but in this game, she's dead to me, and I want her gone. Goodbye.
Yes. Yep. I mean, which is kind of it is kind of fair toward him, because like he hasn't been on a tribe with her. He hasn't even like done much for interaction. Like I know he's only gotten to know Game Lauren, and I feel like he would feel differently if he got to know Lauren. So like there's that. I can very much understand why he thinks Lauren is this crazy player, because that's all she's presented herself to be.
Yeah, and that's the downside of playing a game that Lauren's playing right now, is you see all that. Like if that's all you're seeing is her going, oh, did you guys know that Gabby's in a second org right now? Jim, why'd you leave me on red? Connor, stop being an idiot. Stop offering yourself. Like if you have to be the loudest person in the room, people recognize that stuff and they're like that's the only thing I know about you. I don't want to work with you. Mm-hmm. I want to be as far away from you. You go chill at pre-jury Ponderosa.
Well, Lauren can't get off of Phil Beach either. For all 3 iterations of these tribes, she has always been on Phil, and John has lucked out.
Always been on Alexa.
Always has been on Alexa. Mm-hmm. So like, Lauren, with all her crazy outbursts, has only been able to make relationships with anybody who comes to Phil Beach
or Exile.
Or Exile.
Yeah. Lawrence Lounge. So the other person that Zucker just doesn't trust, and it's in a different way than with Lauren, and that's Andrew, because it's like we haven't gotten to do much like real work because we haven't been going to tribal, but I can just tell from talking with him and just perceiving him, he's played a lot of these games. He's very savvy. He wants to make a move, but he's also the most likely person to be Australian Survivor's favorite word, a flipper.
Yeah, flipper.
No one likes a flipper.
He's in so many alliances, but none of them feel concrete. Like
he's in so many alliances, but the alliances aren't real.
Either that, or like his position never feels like concrete enough.
Oh no, he's playing in mush right now. He's playing on quicksand. A lot of these other people are playing on some just freshly paved gravel. Like they have a solid step. He has to fight for his steps and his life in this game. Yeah. So we're going into the Andrew monologues here now. If you needed an Andrew episode, you're getting an Andrew episode here. Yep. Because he's really just really lining it up for the viewers. Like, this is what's going to happen tonight. Like, from paper, OG Alexa's 5-2. Makes all the sense in the world to vote out Ira, Lauren, or Greg. I don't want to do that. Cuts to, I want Connor to go home. And you see him in a conversation with Austin. Without saying Connor's name, he's like, we can't have this type of chaotic energy, like it's going to cause too much disruption at the merge for us to keep a solid step. But like when he's talking about chaotic energy, everyone knows like, oh, chaotic means Connor. So like you see everyone slowly like getting on board for that. And he's just like, if I can just pool Lauren and Greg, and it's just 2 other Alexa people, doesn't matter who, we put 5 votes on Connor. Lauren maybe uses her advantage. Who cares? I really don't care if she uses it. We're still going to be putting 5 votes on Connor. Connor goes home. Maybe I'm making a new path in this game for me. So a lot of stuff is happening for what a lot of people would think would be like a sort of inconsequential vote with Connor going. But like, I think it sort of heeds into what Zucker's going to think about Andrew, of like, he's a savvy guy who is going to flip, and he's also someone who's ready to play the game. And you can see it based just on these confessionals alone.
Well, also Zucker, Zucker was all in on voting and like getting Andrew out with Austin, but to Andrew's credit, he somehow flipped Austin off of his name. Like he somehow was like, so Connor, and Austin was like, yeah, let me abandon all plans. Okay, Connor.
Yeah. And then we'd see this conversation going. And I want your input here, Jeremy, once I get to it. Mm-hmm. We see the 5 that are going to vote for Connor, and that's Andrew, Lauren, Greg, Austin, and Jim. Mm-hmm. Very shocking Jim, of all people, would go out and betray the old Alexa, because it just seems so much that he is very much Navidi strong mindset. But Lauren saying like, I trust you guys, I'm voting for Connor. I feel so comfortable around you guys. So comfortable, Jeremy. I'm very comfortable. I feel so safe with this 4 other people right here. Jeremy.
Yeah, that really should have tipped off like everyone in that room that she has something up her sleeve. And she might also just be saying that because she know that it could still be her or Greg, and so she's doing anything and everything she can do to make sure that she's safe. And so she's like, yeah, let's do it. I feel great with you guys. I feel like you guys would all go with me anyway. So let's just go ahead and do it. Plan solved.
Right. And like at the end of the day, she does get 2 votes on her. So like, okay, not end of the world that she plays right. Even though I think it was a terrible move, it's like it negates those votes. But like talking to the editor here, McKenna, like, did we really ever have any solid footing in any of these discussions where they were ever truly considering either voting out Lauren or Greg?
No. Like, which is like, it's just crazy that I give so much like credit to Greg, because like he finds people to just magnetize to him, and nobody wants to vote him out. Everyone wants to work with him. All of a sudden, everyone's like, Greg's my number one, which is nuts to me.
Yeah, so like that's what we'll go into what I talk about at the end of this episode with like, were right moves made? In some degrees, yes, and you can make an argument, yes. But my opinion is no.
Yeah. I mean, the 5 chat did like they had it right before tribal council, kind of like a little bit before tribal council. So I don't know if Lauren was feeling a little weird about that, because they had all been in kind of like messages with each other, and then it just like solidly concrete came right before tribal. I don't know. There was also the other narrative of that wasn't shown, of Lauren and Greg were trying to make Austin look like the front runner of like pitching Connor as the vote, because Austin came to them first with the Connor thing, saying like, hey, I talked to Andrew.
Right.
Because Austin had originally come to them with, hey, let's get Andrew out. But nobody's like, they're not working together to be like, hey, let's just get the 2 other Phils out of here. But I don't know if Austin and Jim are just more loyal to Phil 2.0 than to Alexa 1.0.
I guess it's a storyline to keep following through on as we keep going on. But so we do get like a briefing from Connor, and he's just makes this weird accusation of like even though his plan didn't work, he's like, through all that though, he correctly identifies that Mike, Simmons, Alex, and Lilly are a very tight 3, and that they are going to get cut soon.
Yep.
Whether they get cut soon, we'll see. But
well, it won't be by Connor.
It will not be by Connor.
Soon, it's just not going to be by Connor.
So we do get the tribal council. Really, it's a yada yada thing here. It's all about the swap. It's all about the relationships. Exile Island. What happens? You know, a potential merge could be coming soon. Like, if relationships are important. There's people I've talked to. There's people I haven't talked to. So yeah. Vote happens, but before the vote happens, they're going into like what's the one word you should think about, and Lauren decides her word is survival. Get 1 vote further. Just say you're playing the idol at this point. Like, just like wear a t-shirt instead of saying like survivor on it. It says, I am playing my idol. For real, not joking. I am playing and flushing my own idol here.
Yeah, this point was pretty interesting because I'm not sure maybe what was going through Lauren's head because she kind of says in one of her confessionals before Tribal that it was going to be kind of a game decision moment if she was going to play it or not.
I feel like she always was going to.
No, she was like, I think she did legitimately contemplate throughout the day whether or not she was doing, but I believe in her heart of hearts, she always knew no matter what I'm playing this idol, I want to get to the merge. Like,
and I think Greg was telling her, like, don't play the idol. Like, keep it for us in the merge. Like, we're gonna need this later.
But that's what comes. I feel like there's paranoia involved. Like, and when people are telling you don't play the idol, you then immediately, if you're being a paranoid player and like having all that chaotic energy, you're thinking, oh, why are they tell? But I was not going to play this idol. But then you guys started telling me not to play this idol. So what's going on? So maybe I should play this idol.
I feel like Greg saying, hey, Lauren, don't play the idol is different than someone telling, like, if Zucker had an idol. Like,
well,
Zucker, don't play your idol. Yeah. You know, like, I feel like that would be...
I think the difference, though, is that she already has in her mind that at some point she needs to backstab Greg. So I think a part of her is thinking, is he already going to do this to me? Like, I knew I should have gotten it out, but I can't do it. So I just have to play my idol and hope that they are like, okay, she doesn't have the idol anymore. She can come back and be in our good gracious. So like, I get it. At the end of the day, it keeps you in for another round. You have more time to make up room and all that. I personally would have at least just taken that gamble and not played it, trusted what was happening there, because if you could read the room, you could easily tell who was going home, and it wasn't either of her or Greg. You know, it is what it is, but it's 2 votes on Lauren, negated by her idol, 5 votes on Connor. Connor's our 5th boot. Final words for our very fun confessional boy, Connor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved his energy in the confessionals. Is just that sporadic gameplay, and I think he tried a little bit too hard just to get himself safe. So yeah,
I think if he just took a breath before every sentence or every thought, if he just was like, okay, let's think. I think he just needs to think about things a little bit more, because in the beginning, sorry. I feel like in the beginning, he was okay. People like John wanted to just bring him under his wing and like help him get through the next couple of votes, but he kept getting too paranoid, and his paranoia about nothing like ate him alive.
Yeah, it was definitely just all this, I want to go to Exile, like that target that he put on his back. It's just I don't know.
Yeah, so Connor, we loved you. You did a good job, kid.
Yeah.
Don't always be you. Always be amazing. You're the 5th boot, but you're the 5th boot in our hearts too. So merge. We already talked about merge. They are merged. At the end of the day, this being the last vote before the merge, do you think as a collective they had, at this point in time, they have made the right call by making Connor the person that goes out here? I'll start with you, Jeremy.
It kind of depends on what a lot of people's gameplay, like long-term gameplays, are going to be, which we haven't really seen too much yet. I think it was the right move for some people, but maybe not the right move for others. And hopefully we'll see that kind of turn out in later episodes.
Honestly, I think for anybody but Lauren and Greg was the optimal person to get out here. He should have been that. He should have been the boot here. And I think Connor was a great boot for Greg and Lauren. or Andrew would have also been a great boot for Greg and Lauren. But for every other person on that tribe, Greg. Like,
Right.
I don't know. I don't understand how he's still in this game because everyone's just like, yep, he's a threat.
Well, I feel we've for anyone who has played games, more times than not, we've played in a game with someone who does very well in the season, and everyone's watching at home going like, why are you guys letting this person go as far as they're going?
I know.
And sometimes the answer is just that they're that good.
Yeah. I know.
It may not even be game wise. It's just maybe like they are a good person. They are good socially. And that's just enough for you to be like, oh yeah, I want this person around. Like, I feel like this is someone I can talk to. Really. Whereas this other person, I'm like, this is a lot. But we are heading into the second portion of this game. We're off to the races, but I need from both of you for episode 5 and episode 6 in total, who are your MVPs? McKenna.
There's 2 people in my head. I'm giving you one. I'm not pulling it, Jeremy. I'm giving you one. I'm just saying there are 2 people in my head. But I've got to go with my man, Greg. I feel like he is in a really, really good spot right now. A lot of people love working with him. I think the only person he hasn't talked to is John at this point. And he knows where Lauren's exile advantage is. He was only 3 seconds off of the sitting challenge. He escaped tribal going home this round at a 5-2 deficit. So Greg.
I think my MVP for this week would probably be Andrew, since he won the sitting challenge. And then you really got to see what kind of gameplay that he is able to kind of create in episode 6. And he kind of talks about this in a confessional where he really wants to focus more on the social aspect of the game to get him further. And that's basically going to be his flashy resume if he gets to the end. And so we really got to see that in episode 6, where we know that Greg and Lauren are going to take whatever bait that they can get, but then he was able to sway in Jim and Austin to create this vote against Connor, which you see end up working in the end.
Yep. I think you guys gave 2 great choices for this. It does put Greg in the lead with 2 MVPs so far.
1.5.
Okay, 1.5.
Okay.
But if I did have a vote, I don't. Being the host, I have to be unbiased. But my unofficial MVP for these 2 episodes is Mike Simmons. Yeah. I think he has placed himself in a very strong position for Merge with a lot of people who are willing to work with him and barely anyone who are targeting him. So long term, I think he is set up for success. We'll see. It could all crash and burn. But that wraps up the recaps for episode 5 and episode 6. Thank you all for listening to this long recap. But remember, please like the video, press that thumbs up, and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Let's keep growing our subscriber count. Also, if you want to be more involved, be able to ask questions for the exit interviews that are on Wednesdays and Saturdays, join our Facebook page, Survivor Game Show Network. We'll let you in easily. So please come and join that, as well as follow our Instagram account at SurvivorGSN. Tomorrow, Exile contestant Greg Langstine, today's MVP from Jeremy, is taking over the Instagram account to provide a live reaction to our next episode, exclusive to the Instagram page. So remember, follow our social medias. And until next time, thank you all.